Hello, adventurers, and welcome to the Journals of Thorgrim and Bella. I am your host, the Great Sean, and today I have 3 homebrew races for use in your Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition games. None of these races have been play-tested, so keep that in mind. If you have any balance changes ideas for these races, feel free to put them down in the comments down below. As these are potentially not the final versions for these races, you can check the description for the official versions, so take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. Alright, for our first race, we have the Azer. Azer are metal dwarf people that hail from the elemental plane of fire. They look like metal dwarves with fire for hair, so very cool. When you choose this race, you gain the following benefits. You gain a +2 to Constitution, you gain a size of medium, and 25 movement speed. For your first ability, you get Heated Body. When you touch a creature, or a creature touches you, or you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack, the target takes 1d4 plus your proficiency bonus in fire damage added onto the attack. So they just get a little bit extra damage than other people around them just because of their race. Your next ability, Illumination. You shed bright light in 10 feet around you and dim light for an extra 10 feet. However, the downside of this is you have disadvantage on stealth checks that require sight. So, because you're on fire, you and your compadres don't necessarily need to be carrying a torch anymore. You just have light. Never in darkness. Ever. Except for magical darkness, I guess. Your next ability, Living Fire. You do not require food, drink, sleep. Don't need them anymore. Totally self-sufficient. Of course, though, you can still gain the benefits from a long or short rest. You also gain some resistances and vulnerabilities. You have resistance to fire damage, so you take half damage when it's in fire damage, but you have vulnerability to cold damage. So if the damage is cold damage, you take twice as much. You also gain some languages. You can speak, read, and write Common and Ignean. This race is designed to be a martial class. You're not going to be getting the benefits of Heated Body if you're not getting up and personal with your foes. So you're going to be seeing a lot of Azer fighters, barbarians, and monks. Also, the Heated Body, that could be a cool torture method. Just walk up to the goblin and just grab his face and just... That's kind of morally questionable, but effective. Very effective. For our next race up on the chopping block, we have the Ogre. Ogre are giant kin that are a little bit smaller than the rest of their kin. I believe they're on the bottom of the ordning, though don't quote me on that. When you choose the Ogre, you gain the following benefits. Oh boy, are they some benefits. You gain a whopping +3 to Strength, which is not that crazy when you think the Mountain Dwarf gets a total of +4 and still gets armor proficiencies. You can get a +3 with custom lineage, so not that crazy. You have a size of large, so that means you're taking up 4 squares on the battle mat instead of just 1, which is also kind of a downside when you think about it, because you don't get anything from it, and you're just a bigger target. So it's a little bit harder to hide. You also have a speed of 40, which is a nice little buff. For your first ability, you gain the ability Incredible Might. You can use a two-handed weapon in one hand and suffer no penalty. You still, however, cannot dual-wield heavy weapons. What this idea came from is when you see a greatsword, that is a two-handed weapon, but when you think about it, an ogre has really big hands, so when they grab it, proportionally it'll only be like a broadsword or something like that. So it just made logical sense that you can use two-handed weapons in one hand. You also have the ability Intimidating Presence, which just gives you intimidation gives you proficiency in the intimidation skill. Now all that, we have a little bit of downside with the large size, but there needs to be a big downside for choosing this race. And there is a big downside. And that is a ability named Inconvenient Size. You are unable to use armor, clothes, or shields that are not made for your size. You have disadvantage on attack rolls with weapons that aren't made for your size. Weapons with the heavy weapon quality automatically are made for your size. They're nice and big, you can grab them and use them just fine. Unless the weapon or armor comes from your starting equipment, it will cost double to be made for you. So that means you can't just walk up to some suit of armor and put it on. It needs to be especially made for you, and if it's being made for you, it'll cost double. Unless it's your starting equipment, then it'll cost the same. So the big aspiration at getting plate armor, that's going to take twice as long because it'll cost double the price. For your languages, you can speak, read, and write Common and Giant. And for our last race for today, we have the Deva. Deva are angels. They are celestials. Now, if you check the monster manual, you will notice that the Deva have a very high challenge rating, so they don't really make too good of player characters, but I thought, hey, playing an angel sounds fun, so let's do it. And I think something like Gary Gygax said, let your players play anything, even if it's like a dragon. As long as it starts off weak and gets stronger, it's fine. However, the Deva had in its stat block a lot of really powerful abilities that are really difficult to downsize. So, let's hope I did a good job doing that. When you choose the Deva race, you gain the following benefits. You gain a +1 to Charisma and a +1 to Wisdom. You gain a size of medium and a walking speed of 30 feet. You do gain a flying speed because of your wings, but to use your flying speed, which is 40 feet by the way, you cannot be wearing medium or heavy armor. Your first ability, Change Shape. Once per day, you may use the Druid Wild Shape ability. Your max CR is 1/8, and this increases to 1/4 at level 4, 1/2 at level 8. This ability can stack with Druid levels, so you can kind of put your Change Shape on top of your Wild Shape if you are having levels in Druid. Next ability, Angelic Weapons. Your weapon attacks are magical. They do magical damage. Sweet. And for your last ability, or last unique ability, Divine Nature. You do not require food, drink, or sleep. Of course, you can gain the benefits of a long and short rest. You also gain 60 feet of dark vision, so that's nice. And for languages, you can speak, read, and write all languages. You can just know all the languages. If that's a little bit overpowered, I don't know. You could tell me in the comments down below. So, that was it for the 3 races that were detailed in today's video. And you can check these races down in the description below, and those races, The races detailed down there will be the current and final version, so they might change as time goes on if people give good balance suggestions, which you can do. Have fun!